The wait is almost over. After 9 episodes of political maneuvering, buried secrets, and jaw-dropping betrayals inside Gilead's walls, The Testaments is heading into its explosive Season 1 finale. If Episode 9 is anything to go by, the show is not planning to go out quietly. In this ultimate Episode 10 preview and breakdown, we are diving deep into the fallout of Becca's shocking choice, Agnes's devastating family betrayal, and Daisy's precarious position as Plum. Will Gilead make a terrifying example out of Becca for patricide? Can solidarity save these 3 young women, or has the system already decided their fate? 9 episodes of whispered secrets, political traps, and jaw-dropping betrayals inside Gilead's walls have all been leading to this single moment. The wait is almost over. And if you thought The Testaments was going to wrap up its first season quietly, Episode 9 just shattered that illusion completely. We are looking at a brutal murder, the terrifying eyes closing in, and 3 young women whose entire futures hang on a razor-thin wire. Before the season finale drops on May 27th, we need to talk about the blood in the water. We need to talk about how a show that spent weeks building a slow-burning fire just poured gasoline on the entire structure. The rules of the game have completely changed, the masks are entirely off, and the ultimate reckoning inside Gilead is finally here. For most of this season, Dr. Grove has been a dark, heavy cloud hanging over this story. He was a predator hiding in plain sight, someone whose terrible crimes only existed in the quietest whispers, scared glances, and late-night fears. We all knew what he was, but Gilead is a place where powerful men are shielded by a wall of total silence. Episode 9 changed everything by making those hidden crimes completely undeniable. But the biggest shock wasn't the truth coming out, it was who decided to act on it. It wasn't Aunt Lydia, who holds all the political keys and real power in her hands. It wasn't Daisy, who had every personal reason in the world to want him gone. It was Becca, his own daughter, the quiet girl who spent her entire life learning how to disappear into the background. Armed with nothing but a pair of sharp garden shears and the crushing weight of a horrific truth, Becca did the unthinkable. She took matters into her own hands in the most brutal, permanent way possible. The image of Dr. Grove lifeless in that bathtub, with Becca standing over him, is a visual that will haunt fans long after the final credits roll on this season. It was a moment that felt devastating, raw, and completely heartbreaking. Yet it made perfect sense for her character. Becca spent her whole existence being told to stay quiet, to bow her head, and to be perfectly obedient to a monstrous system. In that single, bloody moment, Becca refused to be quiet ever again. She chose to speak in the only language Gilead truly understands: violence. But Gilead is a machine built on total obedience, and it never forgives that kind of defiance. The immediate aftermath of the act showed us the real, tragic gap between hope and reality in this world. Agnes, still operating from a place of innocent trust, made a mistake that might cost Becca everything. She genuinely believed her family would protect them, that her father would see the horror of Dr. Grove's actions and understand why Becca had to strike back. Instead, the cold reality of the state took over. Her father called the high-level security forces, and just like that, the trap snapped shut. Episode 9 ended with Becca in the hands of the eyes, leaving Agnes completely alone to realize that the system was never built to protect women like her. Now, heading into Episode 10, we have to look at the cold, hard legal reality facing Becca. In the eyes of Gilead, killing your father is not looked at as self-defense. It is not treated as a desperate escape from abuse. It is labeled as patricide, and under their strict religious laws, that is an automatic death sentence. The eyes already have her in a dark cell somewhere, and that is what makes the wait for the finale so incredibly stressful. There is no mystery about whether she escaped. She was captured before the screen faded to black. The finale has to show us what happens next. Will Gilead use her to make a terrifying example to anyone else thinking of rebelling? Can Agnes and Daisy find a way to break her out before the executioners step in? What makes Becca's journey so powerful is that she was never the loud rebel or the master planner. She was the one who followed every rule just to survive. And now we have to watch what happens when the quietest person finally breaks. While Becca is locked away in a cold stone cell, Agnes is dealing with an entirely different kind of explosion. She isn't bleeding, and she isn't in chains. but her world has been completely leveled. For her entire life, Agnes believed in the absolute safety of her home. She believed that family loyalty was the one thing stronger than the terrifying laws of Gilead. When she ran to her father for help after the murder, she wasn't just asking for a favor, she was testing the very foundation of her reality. She truly thought her father would see a terrified girl who survived a monster and shield her with his power. Instead, she watched him pick up the phone and hand her best friend over to the state executioners. That specific kind of betrayal leaves an invisible wound that changes a person forever. It is the exact moment a child realizes their parents are not their protectors, but are actually just parts of a giant, unfeeling machine. Agnes did not just lose her friend in episode 9, she lost her innocence, her safety, and her faith in the bloodlines that were supposed to keep her safe. She went to her father looking for a drop of human compassion and got the cold face of a police state instead. Moving into the finale, Agnes cannot go back to being the compliant daughter. She is standing in the ruins of her old life, and that forces her into a dangerous new position. This brings us to the ultimate choice Agnes must make in episode 10. For 9 episodes, she has tried to navigate the strict rules of Gilead without losing her soul, but the system doesn't allow you to keep both. Now that she knows her family will choose the state over her every single time, she has to decide what she actually values. Is she going to bow her head, pretend nothing happened, and accept the comfortable life of a high-ranking family? Or is she going to use her anger to fight back? The finale is almost certainly going to push her to a breaking point where she has to choose between personal safety and total sacrifice. If Agnes decides to help Becca, she is no longer just a passive bystander, she becomes an active enemy of her own household. She will have to play a high-stakes game of poker against her own father, using the secrets of their home as leverage. The tension in the finale won't just come from physical danger, but from this psychological warfare. We are going to see a young woman weaponize the very upbringing that was meant to keep her submissive. Agnes is about to find out exactly how much she is willing to bleed to right the wrongs of a system she used to trust. While Agnes is picking up the pieces of her broken home, Daisy is trapped in a completely different kind of nightmare. All season long, she has been living a double life under the stolen name of Plum. She has been walking a tightrope between the free world she left behind and the suffocating prison of Gilead. But the problem with wearing a mask for too long is that the edges start to blur. In episode 9, Daisy's storyline didn't give us a dramatic explosion. Instead, it gave us a terrifying, quiet isolation. She is completely cut off, operating in a blind spot with almost no room to breathe. The show deliberately left her standing on a knife's edge because, in a police state, silence is often far more dangerous than gunfire. Heading into the grand finale, Daisy's cover identity is about to face its ultimate trial by fire. It is one thing to play a role when you are just gathering information or trying to slip through the checkpoints unnoticed. It is an entirely different game when the eyes are actively hunting down anyone connected to a high-profile murder. The security forces aren't just looking for Becca, they are looking for the rot inside the system. Every single glance, every hesitant word, and every nervous step Daisy takes inside the Gilead structure is now a potential death sentence. Her position has never been more fragile, and the slow-burning tension that has defined her character all season is finally about to reach a boiling point. The real test for Daisy in episode 10 comes down to a brutal math problem. How much is she willing to risk to save a friend? She has spent weeks carefully building this fake identity, piece by agonizing piece, to serve a larger mission. If she sticks her neck out to help Becca and Agnes, she risks burning her cover completely and rendering all her past sacrifices useless. But if she stays hidden to protect her mission, she has to sit back and watch the people she cares about get destroyed by the state. The finale is going to force her into a corner where she can no longer be a ghost in the machine. She has to step into the light and make a move that will either save the trio or take them all down together. This brings us to the dark heart of the entire series. The 3 girls together represent the ultimate threat to a place like Gilead. This regime thrives on keeping people isolated, suspicious, and terrified of one another. By forcing Daisy, Agnes, and Becca into the same desperate corner, the show is setting up a beautiful, dangerous experiment in solidarity. Can friendship and shared trauma actually survive against a brutal state apparatus that has already decided their fates? Daisy's moves in the finale won't just dictate her own survival. They will determine whether the underground resistance has a fighting chance or if Gilead's walls are truly unbreakable. We have reached the end of the line, where the slow-burning fuse of the last 9 episodes finally hits the dynamite. Season finales live or die on a very simple rule. They have to earn the terror they spent all year building. The Testaments has not just built tension, it has stacked heavy, suffocating blocks of pressure on top of these characters until the air inside Gilead feels completely unbreathable. Becca is locked in the dark, Agnes is staring at the ruins of her family, and Daisy is running out of shadows to hide in. The machine of the state is moving, and it does not stop for tears or regrets. This finale has a massive weight on its shoulders because it cannot rely on cheap tricks or easy escapes. It has to give us answers that feel completely honest to the brutal world we've been forced to watch. The true test of episode 10 will be whether it allows these girls to find power in their collective wreckage. For weeks, we've watched them navigate Gilead as individuals, trying to survive by cutting off pieces of themselves. But the finale is demanding a total surrender to the group. It has to show us what happens when family loyalty, the very thing Gilead claims is sacred, is revealed to be a total lie. It has to give Daisy a moment that justifies every single agonizing second of her slow undercover build, proving she isn't just a pawn on a board, but a player capable of breaking the game entirely. Whether the writers stick the landing or tear our hearts out, the final puzzle pieces are about to slam into place. So, it is time to clear your calendar, silence your phone, and lock your doors, because this conclusion is going to require your absolute undivided attention. You do not want to be the one catching up through frantic social media posts while everyone else is losing their minds over the fallout. The ultimate traps are set, the executioners are waiting, and the clock is ticking down to the final second. Fortunately, the wait to see how this beautiful, tragic nightmare resolves is almost over. The Testaments Season 1, Episode 10 officially drops on May 27th on Hulu. If you are watching from outside the United States, you won't have to wait in the dark either. International audiences can catch the entire explosive finale streaming on Disney+, which houses Hulu's original lineup across global regions. Because the episode launches simultaneously across the globe, the entire world will be watching the hammer fall at the exact same moment. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, double-check that you are fully caught up on every betrayal, and brace yourself. The final judgment of Gilead is here, and nobody is walking away unchanged.